Hi, I'm Dave, and I'm going to review these 4 beers. I wanted to do a Budweiser versus Budweiser comparison, American Budweiser versus Czech Budweiser. But I had a few other beers, so I decided to throw them in as well. For instance, this Miller. I saw this Miller at Walmart the other day, and it was something around 7% ABV, and I thought, well, let's try that. Then I was shopping today at a farmer's market where they have a bunch of international stuff, and I decided to get the Russian Budweiser, Baltika 7. And why is this a Russian Budweiser? Because this is the most popular beer in Russia. Just like this is the most popular beer in the United States, well, Bud Light. So, I was in Ukraine recently, and I brought back some Czech Budweiser. And there's a big trademark dispute between this Budweiser and this Budweiser. Over here, you can buy this in the United States, but not as Budweiser. It's as Budvar or Czechvar. I'm not sure which. In Europe, you can buy this, but it's not called Budweiser. It's just called Bud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour these 4 beers into glasses, and I don't know which beer is going to be in which glass because I don't want to be biased. I want to see if I can tell the difference between them, or at least tell what some are, and then see which one I like the best. And we'll see how that goes. Alright, so go ahead and cut that. Then you can pour the beers in the glasses.
Okay, recording.
Okay, so the beers have been poured. I don't know which beer is in which glass. I'm going to say this is Miller because it's the darkest one, I'm pretty sure. I've had this before, and I noticed that it was fairly dark when I poured it. Now, these two look pretty much the same. And this one, not sure, it might be a tad bit darker than these two. So these 3, I don't know which they are, but I'm saying this is the Miller Fortune. Let's smell them. It really doesn't have too much of aroma to it. This is a European beer. This is either Czech or Baltika 7. I can tell by the smell. Yeah. This one smells a little bit stronger than these two. And these two smell the same. So, let's see if there are any bubbles coming up. A little bit. This is a little bit carbonated. Same here. This one looks a little bit more carbonated than this one. And this one is about the same. Alright, so let's taste them. Now, it has a smooth taste, watery. Weak. Even though this is probably the strongest beer, this Miller. It's got the weakest taste, I believe. At least I've had this compared to regular Budweiser, and it was weaker than regular Budweiser. Now that has a much stronger taste than this one. A little bit more of a, it hits you when you first take it in, the carbonation. And a bit of a more slightly bitter taste than this one. This is a lot smoother but waterier, more watery than this one. This one tastes a lot like this one, so I'm saying these two are the European beers, I'm going to guess. This is smooth. Doesn't have any kind of bitterness to it or any kind of bite. And it's got a decent flavor. I'm saying this is Budweiser, American Budweiser. So, I'm guessing that's American Budweiser. And these two are the 2 European beers. Which one is which, I don't know. One in my right hand is a tad bit darker. Carbonation looks about the same. The head is about the same. They're very similar beers. Like that. This one's slightly stronger and this one has a slightly better flavor. But other than that, they're very similar. This one has more of an aftertaste, I believe. A lingering aftertaste. So, I don't know which is which between these two, but I'm saying this is Miller Fortune, this is American Budweiser. And, how am I right?
I'm not sure.
You don't know which one is which?
No. I have to go check.
Okay.
Because I mixed the bottles all up.
But these two, I don't know Baltika 7 and Czech Budweiser enough to know the difference between them. But both of these are very similar. This one's more drinkable than this one. I like this one better than this one. This one is probably the best beer. Followed by this one, and then this one, and this one.
All right, well, let's bring out the beers and we'll put the bottles next to the glasses so we know.
All right. All right. So here are how the beers line up. I was right about this being the Budweiser and this being the Miller. And let's see, what was the ABV on this? I thought it was around 7. It was 6.9. Can't read it. It's 6.9 or 7, something like that. I know Budweiser is 5%. Czech Bud, not sure what this is. They also have a dark version of this. But, you know, this is probably around 5%. Of these four, I would say this is the best. Now, this Baltika 7 is probably around 5% too. It's just a standard lager. It's not an adjunct lager. This is an adjunct lager, which means that instead of traditional beer ingredients, they use adjuncts. One of the most common adjunct is corn, which they use in Miller, but Budweiser uses rice as an adjunct. Sometimes in the adjunct lagers, you could have a corny taste to them. But these two are not adjunct lagers, and neither is this Miller Fortune. But for some reason, it just doesn't have much of a flavor, just watery, not much of a taste. And this one has kind of a unpleasant aftertaste. Otherwise, I would probably rate this one better than Budweiser. But this one, can't really complain about this one any. It's got a nice flavor to it, a little bit stronger than Budweiser, and a little bit more of a taste to it. So yeah, this is decent. Followed by this and that.